And welcome, everybody. Today is Tuesday, April the 11th, 2023. Thank you for joining us here on the Agree to Disagree show on the new American media, because the old American media has failed us. We are going to get into all of the interesting news that has happened in the past couple of days, including the case down in Austin, Texas, of the Uber driver who defended himself and somehow found himself guilty. What comes next? We're going to talk about Mr. Beast. What is happening over on that show? They're having a change in the cast of characters. We will discuss. Also, speaking about a changing cast of characters, is it time to retire to put that Dalai Lama character out to pasture with the rest of the llamas? Oh, that's the worst joke ever. But thanks for writing that one, Blake. But yeah, that we're going to discuss that one. Also, the feud between Matt Taibbi and Elon Musk. We're going to talk about Riley Gaines, the woman's swimmer who's getting attacked by mostly peaceful, but fiery protesters. We're going to talk about the Biden White House orchestrating the FBI raid on Trump. Alex Soros really pulling the puppet strings on George Soros now? This is like one of those Russian dolls, kind of literally, with the Soros thing. Maybe the dad is holding it, and then maybe there's a grandkid who's going to hold the strings over him. And we're going to talk about, is it time to restrict certain people from having access to firearms? All of these topics and more coming at you in just a moment. My name is Brian Engelman.
And I'm Blake Walley.
And I'm Stephanie Jackson.
And we are ready to begin today's show. A really good show right about now. All right. Thank you for joining us, everybody. I'm going to jump right into the news of the day. I'm going to bring up this story from over the weekend. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. It's a story that really irks me here. This is regarding the U.S. Army sergeant who's been found guilty of murder in 2020 shooting of Austin protester. Rioter. Okay, you could change that wording right there. Garrett Foster. Daniel Perry was driving for Uber, and he shot 28-year-old Foster during a protest against police brutality blocks away from the state capitol in July of 2020. Let's see, A Travis County jury found Army Sergeant Perry, 33, guilty of murder after almost 3 years in between when he shot and killed the protester, blah, blah, blah. Indicted for murder, aggravated assault, deadly conduct charges, scrolling through here. Yeah, so in the 2020 Floyd riots, this character that got shot aimed a rifle at him, and he defended himself. And even though Texas has a stand your ground law, Austin activists decided that they were going to go ahead and charge and convict him anyway. Judge Clifford Brown says the sentencing hearing could happen as early as next Tuesday. Well, I guess that's today then. And we're going to see how it goes in the aftermath of this situation. Governor Perry has basically discussed what his limitations are on the topic, and he has the ability to bring this before a board of supervisors to kind of petition for a pardon. He can't really do it on his own, but he has vowed to bring this to them immediately, and he hopes that there can be a resolution speedily. So I guess this would be the question of the day. I mean, maybe we don't know all of the exact details of this case, and maybe it hasn't been front page news like Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, heaven forbid. So we might not know every seedy little detail. But it really is maybe just self-defense in general coming back. Blake, starting with you. Do you think Daniel Perry deserves his self-defense conviction? You're in the middle of you're in your own personal car, your own castle, and someone comes up to your window with an, I believe it was an AK-47, and aims it at your window, and you shoot back in self-defense, just in general, is this something that should have even gone to trial? Does he deserve this, all of this misery he's been subjected to because of the actions of the mostly peaceful but fiery protester?
I guess not. I'm gonna have to disagree there. Given that situation, if I was armed and somebody was aiming a rifle at me, yeah, I think that's calls for self-defense. Probably not a good idea to terrorize people like that. You never know what's going to happen, but they did it to themselves. I don't know the exact situation, but I know that there's a big fight there. It's battleground Texas. So they try to go after different peoples of the political spectrum. So they wanted those rioters to basically get away with whatever they wanted. And who knows what could have happened if he didn't fire back. But I don't know. I haven't been on top of that story as much. But I do believe in, self-defense, obviously. And so without knowing more about it, I would like to see him get off. Given that, but again, I need some more of those details on that.
Absolutely. Stephanie, what say you here? I mean, I've given the roundabout story, but I mean, this is on the heels of someone like Kyle Rittenhouse, who was on video. Thank God he was on camera, because they tried to frame him for something he didn't do. It clearly showed self-defense, but these corrupt district attorneys want to kind of make it so that you're so scared to even carry on you or to use it that it essentially renders the Second Amendment pointless anyway. Do you think this guy deserved this? Was he out of, like, in general, out of line, or do you think, like, we need to be tougher on self-defense cases?
I do not disagree, and I don't agree, because I definitely believe that we need more information before I say anything, because it's really easy to jump to the gun. And especially living in my state of Arizona, I mean, you're allowed to open carry and all this stuff, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes behind, like, every time when you pull that trigger and there's a person in front of you. One thing that's common with these cases, it seems like self-defense, but later on you might find out, oh, this party and that party actually knew each other. Oh, they actually had a history. Oh, so there's always sometimes more to the story. Like this, until there's more facts, then I will determine. I believe it's always our right to bear arms to protect ourselves, but that's another reason it's important. Even if you don't need it in your state, get your concealed weapons permit, because they will help you with lawyers when it comes to this case of self-defense, because they know you're a little bit more responsible than others since you went through the training and the laws.
Right. Yeah. The least likely people to be out there committing crimes are concealed carry license permit holders. Although our license is the Second Amendment. We don't need further clarification on that. In my opinion, I think the nationwide reciprocity, the reciprocal nature of our Second Amendment, I think from state to state, I think it's really got to happen. You don't lose your First Amendment right to speech at state lines. Why do you lose the right to defend yourself and your family? But this one here, this is just one of the many photographs, and once again, you think back to journalists like, say News to Share, Ford Fisher, and all of the new American media, who are just independent journalists out at events getting their own footage, because we can't rely on the legacy media to give us an accurate depiction of anything these days. So we have to get our own footage, essentially. But this is, what is this, Charlie Kirk here? He's saying, why is the legacy media conveniently leaving out of its reporting the fact that Garrett Foster pointed an AK-47 at Daniel Perry? If you read stories from AP, CNN, etc., you'd assume Foster was unarmed. This is Foster pointing the AK-47 in a low-ready position right at Perry, who's here in this car. And I wanted to play this for a second just to kind of give it a little bit of context. I think the story is important enough. It's worth a few minutes to begin our show discussing it. And once again, in the comments asking, well, I thought he was pardoned. Well, the pardoning process has begun, but we haven't. I don't believe we've had any final decisions on this. The governor of Texas has moved forward trying to get that pardon board to take some action. But, this is the conversation I wanted to hear. Oh, now why is my screen not showing it? It went black. There we go. Slowing down. Where'd the conversation go? Oh, now I can't find it. I guess we'll move on. But it was a conversation between Tucker Carlson and Kyle Rittenhouse. I did have queued up, and now Twitter's just not showing me. So I'll abandon the story. It's old news anyway, but it's important news, and it's something that impacts all of us. There's nothing more paramount in this nation than being able to protect yourself from madmen. We saw this in Louisville yesterday. Just how many of these active shooting cases are we going to see? They're all over the place. And Jocelyn is asking, if I'm raising my weapon at you, what do you do? A, kiss the rear end. B, shoot me. C, oh, there is no C. If you're in a car surrounded by a raging mob who's beating on the doors and windows, you're entitled to defend yourself. Yeah, it's so interesting. I was just turning, I must have been 16, and my dad kind of sat me down for a second and had the talk, and he said, well, you're going to be driving out there and anything could happen. Just remember, if you ever find yourself in a really bad situation, because I guess he got caught in the riots down in Miami back in the day. There were some really big Miami riots. And he just said, look, if you're ever in a situation and your life is in danger and you're in your car, you have a 2,000-pound weapon. You just have to press the gas and escape a bad situation. Like, don't ever forget that. You can always escape someone who's threatening you and your loved ones. So anyway, it's a shame what's happened down in Austin, Texas. I think this, along with what's happening with the district attorney over in New York, is proving the vital, crucial importance of the district attorneys across this nation. I think all the bad ones have got to be rooted out like the cancer that they are. They have to be identified. They have to be challenged. They have to be removed. They have to be impeached. They have to be recalled. They have to be eliminated if our nation has any chance of survival. By the way, Blake, I was going to say that the cloud background is pretty fantastic. This one's fine too. But the cloud is so serene. It was so stable, a stable genius.
But it's not on a loop. There's a little glitch at the end when it has to reset.
Nobody cares about a loop.
I love the nature stuff,
glitch.
But
who cares about a glitch? I didn't notice any glitch. But anyway.
Okay, fine. Here's some nature.
Going back. Okay. Oh, so you got night vision.
This is on a loop. There's no stop and then it restarts. It annoys me.
Jocelyn here saying she got caught in the Long Beach riot in 91. Hey, remember that song that Sublime wrote about? April 26, 1992. There was a riot on the streets. Tell me, where were you? She got caught in the Long Beach riot in 91. Very scary. I could literally feel it coming. While it passed by, one neighbor went into a friend's house and robbed her. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, society is starting to break down, folks. So once again, this is your reminder to get some extra bottles of water, save some cash, get some supplies, and hunker down for World War III. Did you have any final thoughts on this topic before we bounce to the rest of the stories of the day? Stephanie, back to you, and then over to Blake.
Yeah, I just want to bring up one thing with Kyle Rittenhouse that I feel like a lot of people don't know about it. It's the question of like, why was he out there? He was actually defending one of his family's properties that was a hotel that was being damaged and destroyed. And that's not something that in news media that's talked about. Like, if I had a family hotel, I would definitely do anything and everything to try and protect it. So I'm not sure if you guys knew that, but he was there protecting his family's property. That's why he was out there.
I thought he was there with a friend. Okay, I found the article.
Yeah, he was there with a friend, but like the main reason was that, and then it turned into something else.
I thought it was like a gas station. It was like a friend's gas station or something.
It was actually like multiple properties because, you know, they were a pretty well-off family.
Gotcha. All right, Blake.
Well, showing the picture, I think that's pretty obvious. That's like terrorism. If people are, there's like an angry mob around surrounding your vehicle, and one guy's got an AK-47, what are you going to do? Are you just going to sit there and beg for, mercy? Or are you going to start shooting? So I respect that. So it's unfortunate it came to that, but they were the ones that threatened them. So
Yes.
As
All
far
right.
as
I
I
did
can tell
find
in
this.
one picture, but without having more context, it seems like it should be a pardon, especially in Texas.
Yeah, and we can all imagine ourselves or our loved ones getting surrounded by a violent, crazy mob. Yeah, you have the right to get out of it. You can protest wherever you want. You have no right to riot. I don't know where they got this in 2020. I know where they got it. They got it from the Democrat Party, the lying legacy media, and the social media underlords. They pushed it nonstop. They wanted it because they figured, hey, if more chaos makes Trump look worse, and that they just pushed it nonstop. You don't have the right to block somebody's ambulance from getting to the hospital for life-saving procedures. You don't have the right to block somebody getting late for work or getting written up or fired. You have no right to block somebody after a double shift out there nursing, coming home to try to eat some food and to say hi to their kid before they go to sleep and get up and do it the next morning. You have no right to distract people from the lives that they're living. You can protest all you want, but this crazy mob mentality, I mean, it's inviting this type of reaction. That's why you're not allowed to participate in it. It is illegal in any place that's not run by a crazy, corrupt blue DA with a blue mayor and a blue governor, being pushed by the blue media, which is really, going back to Elon Musk and the fact that we're going to be talking about him later. He's given the media different colors. He's calling some of them yellow journalism, and he's calling others state-funded media. But and very well deserved. Very well deserved. The inmates have been running the asylum for too long. But here's a brief interaction here. This is Tucker Carlson talking about the Daniel Perry conviction with Kyle Rittenhouse.
I wanted to speak to one of the few people who knows tonight what Daniel Perry is going through, sitting behind bars.
Can you hear
for
this?
defending
I can't
himself.
hear.
Kyle Rittenhouse
I can hear
lived
it.
that experience.
Okay.
He joins us
I'll mute
tonight.
myself.
Kyle Rittenhouse, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, Tucker.
So here you have a guy, I don't think there's really any debate. The protester who was killed raised a rifle at him, is exactly what happened with you. How do you think Daniel Perry feels tonight sitting in jail?
I could only imagine. He's probably sitting there wondering what happened. He defended himself. He knows what he did was right. You have a man with an AK-47 and over 120 rounds of ammo on a person, dressed just for war, as some people might say, with the rifle strapped, the AK-47, raising it towards Daniel Perry, who is in flip-flops and beach shorts, carrying a revolver. And nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to mention that he was armed. I see a lot of reports just saying he fired indiscriminately into a crowd and he drove into a bunch of rioters. They don't want to talk about how he was swarmed, how his car was swarmed with a bunch of rioters trying to attack him.
As he was driving for Uber, I mean, the least powerful person in our society, attacked by one of the worst people in our society who's out there rioting, as in your case. You were trying to defend a used car lot, and a convicted child molester tried to kill you, and they took the convicted child molester's side. Do you see parallels here?
Absolutely, and you see the double standard in this case. People aren't talking about the fact of the second person who attacked Daniel Perry. After Sergeant Daniel Perry defended himself against Garrett Foster, he was then shot at 3 times by a person who was never charged by the Travis County DA. Somebody who recklessly fired a slew of shots at Perry's car, and they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the recklessness of that, and they don't want to charge him. It's a double standard, and it's not okay.
He fired 3 shots in the middle of a city, but that's totally fine. Okay. Kyle Rittenhouse, thank you for adding to our knowledge of this story. Appreciate it.
Okay. We good. Brian, you're on mute now. Let's see. Here we go. Unmuting Brian. All right.
All right.
Brian?
Yes,
There
thank you. Blake, any initial reaction to that one?
No, I mean, it's cool to see Rittenhouse give, to be interviewed here. He'd be the perfect guy to do it. So that's refreshing. Yeah, he's looking good. So that's all I got. So he would know.
Stephanie, any final thoughts, and we'll pivot off into another subject?
That's all you have to say, Blake, that he's looking good? I mean, how do you feel about, he has had such a long history. How do you feel about, you know,
Well, yeah, the guy almost
he missed out on colleges. Like colleges denied him for what he did. So he's a big symbol. Like, how do you feel about this, Blake?
Well, it's terrible that they tried to put him in jail basically for life, and then they went after everybody that even dared support him. So what they did was just truly evil, just to, reframe that whole story like he just went around on some racist rampage and Waukesha or wherever that was, killing people on a killing spree, but it wasn't. He was, in self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to railroad another guy in Austin. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it was so weird. It's like the people. There's a segment of society that are just completely addicted to this rage bait. It's just nonstop divide and conquer, divide and conquer. That's what half of our stories are today. I'm scrolling through here. I'm like, okay, well, I see what's coming up next. I know where we're going. So yeah, our Second Amendment is under attack. Remember, this is on the heels in New York. That same district attorney, that Alvin and the Braggs, the Chipmunks. There was a parking lot attendant who was attacked, and he wrestled the gun away and defended himself. And that guy woke up. He was attacked. He ended up in the hospital, chained to a bed, charged with murder for trying to defend himself. If it wasn't for a massive outcry, just like you're seeing with this President Trump overreach, this prosecutorial misconduct, if it wasn't for a massive backlash that eventually caused them to drop the charges, they were going to try this innocent guy with murder. And they want the bad people to feel emboldened to be as violent as possible. I was scrolling Twitter yesterday. I don't know if you happen to see this disgusting display of things. They're at some sort of bodega or smoke shop in New York. And I believe it's new video that just came out. And someone goes in and buys something, and he starts to walk away, and then he turns back and asks for, like, can I see your lighter? And he lights up a cigarette or something. And he turns around, and the guy standing next to him just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the head, drops right there in the bodega. Then the guy turns, and the people run. There's probably 10 people in there. Someone jumps over the back of the counter, and people run out the front door. And the guy drops after the first shot. A second or two later, as the guy starts to walk out, he starts moving again, trying to assess what's going on, and he pulls it out and shoots him one more time in the back, and the guy drops, and then he comes in and tries to rob him and just rifle through his coat and pants for whatever he could steal. Like, there's a sickness in society that's evil. It's just demonic. Like, there's an ultimate battle of good and evil. There is no way around it. You'll see it in Louisville when innocent people are shot by a 23-year-old crazed leftist madman. Yesterday, I think they're up to 8 people dead from this clown. We had the anti-Christian trans attack in Nashville. Just randomly going and killing innocent people. Like, people are snapping. It's always been demonic presence on this earth, and the only thing that can neutralize a demon is our right to self-defense. And anybody that's just going to make it harder for good guys to go about their business and be left alone, and people that want to make it easier for the bad guys to run around terrorizing every community that they're in. I mean, those people, those district attorneys and those politicians that enable this type of behavior, they become demonic in the process. Stephanie, you've unmuted. I think you might have something to add.
No, I'm just listening. But yeah, I agree with everything. I was just about to say another thing to get rid of demonic energies. If you play a Taylor Swift song, that also works.
Taylor Swift song. So the demons are like the shrill sound of Taylor sends them running to the hills down to the
I don't
netherworld.
know. She might be a demon as well. Maybe something else. Yeah. She has too many awards.
Yes, a little sus. But yeah, anyway, it's something that I am passionately railing against. We have got to root out the problems in this country, and we have to make sure that the good guys and girls out there are able to just live our lives without being accosted or ended by madmen. And the Second Amendment is what gives us that right to have something on us that can just give us a fighting chance to live to see another day when you do happen to run into a demon. So yeah, I'm putting it out there. You know, the calls and the prayers and the urging of that Texas board, whatever needs to happen to throw this appeal out, to throw this guy a lifeline and help get him the hell out of jail or whatever he happens to be at the moment as he's waiting, charges and the sentencing rather. Deliver these people from evil, please. It's in the literal prayer. Could you imagine being that guy working at the New York parking garage, parking facility, and just someone attacks you and it's like, I'm in a fight for my life over what? I don't even know what's happening. You might not live to see another breath. And you luckily, skillfully somehow manage to get the means to defend yourself, and you do so, and you end up in bed crying, handcuffed to a gurney from the injuries you sustained from the bad guy that the district attorney is protecting at your expense, calling you the bad guy. I'm over it. Like, we have to go on offense. I've been saying this politically for the Republican Party for the longest time. Everything the Democrats do is to divide. This is everything that the big tech overlords do. It's what the lying legacy media does. They divide and they launch lies and accusations at you. Lies and accusations. Then it's like, okay, I'm just standing here now. All of a sudden, I see 20 tennis balls that have been hurled in my direction. So I got to grab my racket and I got to start kind of swinging to get them all off onto the other side. Every now and then there is a lull. There's a moment of pause. Okay, there's no more tennis balls flying. I am reaching into the biggest bag I can find, and I'm going to start hitting them back the other way. As many as I can, as fast as I can, and I'm going to stay on offense, because if you only play defense, you're losing ground. That Overton window is sliding further till you're pinned up against the wall against crazy demons. Here's where we are as a society, and we have got to fix it. We have got to take this stuff seriously, because these district attorneys that are trying to demonize the good people and the Second Amendment, it's absolutely out of control. All right, next story. All right, in today's cavalcade of wonderful opportunities to discuss and highlight threats and bullying and abuse, Blake, do you agree or disagree that Riley Gaines was treated fairly by the peaceful protesters at SFSU? Agree or disagree? Riley Gaines, female swimmer, treated fairly.
Disagree strongly. That was an embarrassment. That was awful what they did to her. She's just there. She's got a point. She's just there as a conservative speaker, whether you like what she's saying or not. There's a respectful way of doing things, but she's actually has a point. She was kind of screwed over, in her swimming. She's like, a champion at what she does, and she loses to, I guess, Leah Thomas, who's transgender. It's a biological male. It was a biological male swimming a couple of years prior, and all of a sudden now Leah's dominating the swimming, beats her, and she's just saying, hey, this isn't fair, and should be a simple appeal to other women. Like, this is not fair to us and women's sports to have biological men competing. And instead of just like, let's hear what she's got to say, it should be basic common sense. No, it was just like, you're a effing transphobe, blah blah blah, get out of here. They held her hostage, tried to hold her for ransom. She missed her flight back home. It was outrageous. And then San Francisco, the university, they responded and took the side of their students instead of saying we're embarrassed. That's not we celebrate free speech. It had nothing to do with that. So they just doubled down and made it even worse. So I don't know why even conservative speakers even bother. I don't even know if she's a conservative. She's just coming out to give her side of a story on a reasonable. Shame on San Francisco. Stay out of there. It's like a lost civilization. That's it.
Stephanie, do you agree or disagree that Riley Gaines was treated fairly by the remnants of the lost civilization of San Francisco State University?
Strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. I saw an interview of Riley Gaines where she said that she was being punched constantly by people who were grabbing her. And she said it was my right to do a peaceful protest. And when it comes to sports, I mean, you have like boxing and wrestling and MMA, what's the most important factor? It's weight, because you want to fight somebody in your equal like weight class, because if you're there in a certain way and they're like super small, then there's no competition there. So if weight is such a big factor in men's sport, then why is it not being equal when it comes to this realm? I think it's really sad. I hope she sues the heck out of that university. That is ridiculous. You know, like I've said before, the university and the school atmosphere is a sacred place. There should never be violence, and especially when it comes to other students. And then it was sad to even hear that the police, she said, didn't come until like 3 hours later, until after the incident. And that was the only people that kind of sided with her. She said, thank you for, you know, like the police officers, they helped me out. But it's just, you know, you shouldn't feel unsafe. Like, this is ridiculous. And then also, just another thing to say, women, we haven't had rights for a really long time. I mean, we just got our rights to vote not too long ago in this century. So, and women are always being put down, even still today. I mean, we have came a long way, and just to treat us like a parody and a novelty and don't understand the struggle that we sometimes go through, it's just really a slap in the face to a woman.
Yes, and you have this situation at San Francisco State University where, you know, she said she was getting hit. She was getting physically attacked by men, by biological men, getting attacked for being a woman who doesn't understand why biological men are competing in the women's sports league with her. This is not the only time. I'm not even going to play this. It's so damn gross. Fallon Fox, this biological man who is identifying as someone who wants to participate in ladies MMA. WMMA. Yeah. Anyway, Fallon Fox breaking the skull of another woman. I don't want to play this stuff. I'm not a huge fan of lady MMA anyway. Like, it's fine, but like when there's a biological man fighting and smashing, all you have to do is watch a Fallon Fox match. It is, it feels like a snuff film. What was that, 8mm or 9mm or something? That movie from it feels wrong on every level. To watch, the person was, what was it? Born Will Thomas, now goes by Leah Thomas, competing against biological women in a sporting event. I mean, for the love of God, can we discuss why we separated the men from the women in the first place? Why do we have to discuss the 2 + 2 does not equal 5? Who are we talking to here that can't grasp the concept that it's not cool for dudes to smash upon the skulls and of ladies in the MMA? Why is it okay for biological men to take the positions of the trophy winners in the ladies competition segment of society? This is not progress in any way. The ladies compete with the ladies. The biological ladies compete. That's it. And the story has always been, and you've seen stories like this, Disney type stories, or, it's the girl tries to make it on the varsity team. And you see stories like this in high school a lot. Girl kickers is probably the most common crossover where they make the team and actually play in high school football. If a girl decides that she can compete in the men's division and level up, because men are stronger, they're faster, the bone density is different, if you choose to do that and you can hang, nobody's going to tell you can't. Good luck. But come on in. And that's kind of where kicking, it's kind of like the great neutralizer, the great equalizer. Maybe playing quarterback is going to be different. Maybe playing wide receiver might be a little different, and the hits that you take. But kicking is kind of easy. So like those stories are celebrated. If you can go from, the minor leagues into the major leagues and you can succeed, like that's fantastic. The Kurt Warner story where he was bagging groceries 1 minute and then he got called up and he won a Super Bowl the next minute. It's like, oh, wow, you went from here to a champion. That's so great. But having a biological man competing against women and like cheering about it and trying to get dressed in the same locker room with all of the ladies, we're being told that we have to accept this new reality. But Blake, I don't, is there any reality that is there a blind spot that I'm missing here about, we obviously said Riley Gaines was horribly treated by these mostly peaceful but fiery biological men who hit her allegedly at her speaking engagement. Do I have a blind spot in competition where we shouldn't have the ladies division or the men's division anymore? Should all just be reintegrated and everybody could compete for those same scholarship spots? Because I thought Title IX was like, hey, we have to give equal funding to the ladies as well as we're doing for the men. So it's like men's, everything gets a parallel with the ladies. Am I missing something here?
No, they're acting like they're like oppressed or something, and they're not allowed to. I don't get it. So I'm used to like kind of conservatives standing in the way of progress. Like if this was like the 60s or something, it might be like, oh, the conservative white guys won't let the young black man compete in the swimmer with the other white swimmer. But it isn't the same, not at all. So trans people have just as many rights as other people. You're just not allowed, if you're a biological male, you're not allowed to compete in athletic competitions with women who are, as you said, are smaller, they're busting skulls, or they're dominating in the swimming. That isn't right. So I'll be happy to stand up for any oppressed minority, but this is not the case. And they're acting like it is. And they don't understand. They're not fighting the good fight that they think. This isn't progress anymore. It's gone the opposite way.
Stephanie?
It just reminds me of this other recent story that happened in the news where these sorority girls, not sure if you guys have heard of this, but this group of sorority girls in this college is suing their sorority because they let a transgender woman in, and they were there, I guess, how sorority girls are, they were there undressing, and I guess this transgender woman had, and I hate saying it, but like I guess you could say a erection, and showed themselves to the girls, and they were like freaked out, like, it's supposed to be a safe space, and they're like, who let this person in? Like, we don't feel safe. Like, they're looking like a woman, but they're acting like a man around us. And if that was like my child, in college, I would be very, very upset. I mean, is going to college or sorority now, is it even safe? I mean, look at Riley. I mean, do you really want to have your kid to have the possibility to get beat up, or do you want your kid to just shut up and be silent and never speak their mind ever again, or have a peaceful protest, which is our right as an American citizen?
Yeah, it's the biggest bully campaign we have maybe ever seen. And the question why? Some people posit and ponder and pontificate and hypothesize. There we go. Postulate. Sorry, I'm trying to think of every word here. Some people are like, well, why is this happening? This must be because of who's going to run in the 2024 election on the Democrat side. And you go, what? He said, yes, that's what it's all about. This has to be completely normalized by the time the campaign's announced. You're like, what are you talking about? You go, okay. So there's those people. There's those people, and I don't know about those people, but why is this such an issue? Well, I mean, it is. You must suspend reality. Do not believe your lying eyes and ears. You will repeat that. It's literally out of Orwell's 1984. 2 + 2 = 5. It's not even as much that you say it. You must believe it, or you are going to have to be eliminated. And it's. I mean, we're witnessing the silliest, most um, eh, eh, bizarre ritual. It's a cult like ritual. You must conversion or death. It's you wondered what it was like back in the East Coast of the country, Salem, Massachusetts, for example. What was it like during the Salem witch trials? How the hell did how did humans how was that our default setting to behave in such a manner? And then you just turn on the news today and it's not too damn different. So you know, they say meet your new boss, same as your old boss. Well, I mean, humanity is what humanity has been. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe the singularity couldn't get here fast enough, because maybe we do need an upgrade to get out of this weird cycle. But yeah, 100% line in the sand drawn. Women need to be protected in sporting competitions. 100%. Make sure you're checking out the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. It's a private group on Facebook that I've ran for quite some time, and all of the corresponding social media outlets as well. Okay, next story. It's 2023, and you know what that means, Blake? It's nonstop trans talk all the time. Blake, you agree to disagree that the transition of Chris Tyson of Mr. Beast is suspicious? Agree or disagree? Are you suspicious, Mr. Blake?
I'm highly suspicious, even though I never heard of this guy until about 2 hours ago, maybe 3 hours ago. Brian brought it to my attention. Brian's always on Instagram finding these stories, but apparently Mr. Beast is one of the biggest YouTubers out there.
Yep.
Which I've only been familiar with for a couple of months, thanks to Stephanie. But I guess it was like his right-hand man,
Person.
man. It's Chris
Person.
Tyson. Person is now is transitioning, even though he was like the most masculine, and he's got a kid, he's married, and all of a sudden now he's going through gender transition and hormone therapy. I don't know what to make of that, but it just seems like there's a weird trend going on. I don't like it. I don't think it's healthy. I mean, if that's the way he really is, and he's held that inside his whole life, then good for him, and that makes him happier. Then why did you get married and have the kid? I don't, unless it's part of some deal, and I don't know. They make a deal with the devil, you sell out. I know they make a ton of money. I haven't done enough research on Mr. Beast, but I know he throws tons of money around. I don't know where it all came from or why. So is it possible that they are compromised? And the reason they have so much money is they're kind of beholden to the investors that pull their strings. I don't know. So I will defer. See what Stephanie thinks. And you think, Brian? That Stephanie, is a very strange story.
Yeah. I recently became a fan of Mr. Beast in the past few months. I was so shocked, like I didn't know about him, despite being like the #1 YouTuber with the most subscribers. I mean, that's where he's getting all his money. I don't think he's having any politicalness, because if so, we probably would see more of that. And the only reason I could say this is because I've been following them, watching their interviews. So I have a little taste of like who they are and who this Chris Tyson is. So Chris Tyson, as you said, his right-hand man. And, I would say it's probably like real. I mean, all these people who transition, a lot of them are married and had kids, like the Wachowski brothers that are now the Wachowski sisters. I think both of them were married, but they then got a divorce and then found like a different partner, But I could kind of see Mr. Beast in them, kind of like, hey, let's try this out. But if he's really going through all of that, I would say it's probably the real deal. It's when you hear nothing but this influence, sometimes it's like, let me get a little tasted. Or who knows? We don't know this person. Maybe they've been feeling like this for a really long time. And they're like, and now I have the money to do it, because they always say all the time, because Mr. Beast will do all these like crazy acts, and they're like, please don't kill my boss. That guy pays my bills, And that's true. He does pay their bills, and he's going to be the first YouTuber on track to be a billionaire. Well, already technically is a billionaire, but to be a trillionaire. So if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to be the first trillionaire out there. And which, if you guys didn't know this, he spends all the money that he gets, he puts it back in the video. So his videos cost $2, $3, $4 million. He's not there trying to make money. He's just trying to grow his channel and give back, which is also a big controversy, because sometimes they don't think he's like a bad guy secretly, but I think he's a good guy. But yeah, I would say no comment. I would say it's probably the real deal, but it's just really interesting. It'll be interesting to see if he gets some Dylan Mulvaney, deals and money now.
Yeah, that whole Bud Light situation. I'm hearing anecdotal reports. I do. The industry is very close to me. The bar business, the restaurant bar scene, the unhappy hour. The roots of that came from being a bartender, just like you, Blake. You were a bartender as well, and once a bartender, always a bartender. But the anecdotal reports I'm hearing about those Bud Light shipments, the people that don't want the product anymore and that have said, no, it's not Bud Light. We don't want Mick Ultra. We don't want this. We don't want that. Like, they've gone through the entire. Now, these are anecdotal reports. We'll see. It looks like 2 points have popped off of the Anheuser-Busch stock since this little stunt came out last week or whenever that was. There's something going on. There's a social contagion. Once again, it's a religion. It's a cult. There are, I was listening to this yesterday. I go to some garage sales or estate sales from time to time, and I'll pick up items, and sometimes you get boxes and you just sift through it and figure out what it is, and it's fun. I love it. It's a great way to get things you need, a great way to collect, great way to resell, make some money on the side as a permanent part-time side hustle. But one of these was it was an audio cassette about becoming a missionary, to go, in this case, it was a local pastor, and it was, on the cassette, telling you, from 2006. And it was about going to Africa in a missionary work. And it tells this story, it's maybe about a half hour long, and I'm listening to it about, there was a man was killed, and then he went to confront the killer, and then they kind of like reconciled, and then he became someone who was able to help get political prisoners removed from the jails down there and kind of change how the policies were enacted. They sent him back a second time, because mission work, it's about a lot of things. It's about spreading the gospel. It's about spreading goodwill. It's about trying to make the world a better place, and it's also about selling, conversion and winning souls to the Lord. The message I was listening to from this particular pastor talked about how he was getting an email, and like you could tell he was an older gentleman, and he was discussing with his younger congregation, the details of how he got this email, but it only prompted, he read one sentence at the top. He's like, well, he was talking to this Jewish friend of his from California, and he sent an email and said, well, that's it. I've been converted. And he, like, his heart dropped and he started crying. He's like, I've been playing tennis with this guy about politics and religion for a long time. And now he's converting. This is amazing. Like, I've won another soul to the Lord. And then he opens it up, and it was just like, yep, that's it. I finally converted. And it was like somebody was drafted to an NFL team, and now they're a Cowboys fan or something. I've been converted. I'm a Cowboys fan now because I'm rooting for this guy or something. So there is a winning souls to your religion component to this entire movement, the Skittles Mafia, if you will, the Rainbow Mafia. convert or die. It's you do it through force, you do it surreptitiously through indoctrination, through schooling, through media, the ESG, all of these, and that's been the biggest conversation is like, well, why? If the customer base isn't really on board with this stuff, where's it coming from? I think that's going to be a topic we get into a little bit more in detail down the road, because where it's coming from is one of the most important things we can be talking about. It really is wrapped up in the ESG style of if you self-flagellate, if you do enough things, we will give you a pass. It's very similar to the carbon credits. It's like, well, you're a dirty, awful, polluting human. So as long as you buy these carbon credits, we will forgive your use of your personal SUV. We will forgive those flights that you take to XYZ. We will forgive the carbon footprint of the energy used to air condition and heat your palatial mansion in Calabasas. And it's really like you're guilty, so pay us kind of. It's this give and take. It's this subtle threat, and that's exactly what's going on. There was a radicalized trans shooter who shot up a Christian school. We're still waiting on the manifesto. We all kind of know what's in it, and we're just waiting to see it, to hear it. There's an element of conversion here that really turns it culty, turns it into a religion of its own. It wants to win people over. So yes, if you can get the biggest show, the biggest YouTuber to now make this the front storyline of your show, well, imagine the social credit score boost you'll get from that. And this is really the same thing that has been happening in China for a while with their social credit scores. And they've been pushing this. You can't travel if you don't agree with certain policies, or if you do hold a differing opinion.
Crazy.
You can't bank. You can't go on the train. You can't use your credit cards. This is all coming to a theater near you. This is all happening simultaneously right now. Every one of these issues is connected, not in the crazy Mel Gibson conspiracy theory way, although was he really wrong about any of it? It's all happening in real time. And so anytime you see something go out 100% in a full marketing blitz, a media campaign to just nonstop berate you, just keep hitting you over the head with that pool noodle. I don't know. I just saw a pool noodle being hit over somebody's head. It was less violent. I suppose I went with that. More cartoonish, I suppose. But this is something that is suspicious in the manner that it's all suspicious. Like, why is there a fixation on this? What is behind the fixation? We've had Rocky Horror Picture Show and Klinger from MASH, and we've had cross-dressing forever. But you use your biological bathroom. You don't take your clothing off and twerk for little kids. You don't cheer them on and give kids who are now you try it, little Timmy, and give them $1 bill and they're underneath their buckle. This is, you know what it is. So let's get to the next story, because we got two of them. We have to talk about, is the transition of this Tennessee representative suspicious, or should the Dalai Lama retire after that? These are all connected to this story. It's hard to figure out where the best segue is going to come from. So I'm going to go with the Dalai Lama. How about that? We're talking about disgusting kid stuff. Let's go to the Dalai Lama, shall we? All right, now. Blake, I don't know if you have the video pulled up for this. I have a hard time watching it. I can find it quickly as well if I need to. But this is the next agree or disagree question. And please make sure you're following us in all of the places. And if you're watching live on Facebook, the Agree to Disagree Show is a private group. If you're watching on youtube.com/The New American Media, that's awesome. That's available for everybody to leave your comments. Stephanie's nodding in agreement. She definitely concurs.
And also, don't forget to follow the Agree to Disagree show. That's on the Spotify app. This is here. If you have Spotify, just look up the Agree to Disagree show. And then after you hit that follow button, make sure to give us 5 stars.
Yes.
Nice.
Well done. That was a Blake. Can you chop that out and make it a little advertising for us to share to everybody? I love that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
That was a nice ad drop. Heck yeah. Thank you.
I used to be in sales.
Yes.
Excellent.
Well, Blake, do you have this video of Dalai Lama? There's so much coming out on the Dalai Lama right now. It's hard to, I guess we got to start from the start. The start is the most recent thing, but from the start, we work our way backward and go, well, why didn't we see this all along? Well, how could we have missed this the entire time? Okay, he headbutts him.
And suck my tongue.
Yeah.
Let it run on a loop. All right.
No, we don't need.
All right. Good times. Makes you want to go hang out with the Dalai Lama. What if that was you, Brian? Would you give him a kiss? On TV, you got the whole world watching. You don't want to, embarrass the Dalai Lama.
I mean, I have lots of thoughts. Number one, I didn't expect to hear that in English. Suck my tongue. That was even way worse. Because I'd read the transcript. I didn't watch it with sound on until that particular moment. By the way.
Well, he makes you wonder what happens behind closed doors. So I think it might have been just a weird moment. That's not the first time he's probably done that. So
My tongue.
what is he? He's like in his 90s or his 80s. He's up there. We always kind of suspect some of these high-level religious people as being hypocrites, maybe controlled to some extent, and maybe we're getting a look at it. So I don't know if that's a sign of him getting too old, or if that's the way he normally is.
My tongue.
And this is going to escalate further when they're off the camera. But he got caught, and he regrets it now because he was called out on it. There's no way to spin this and look good. So here I'm gonna stop sharing that.
Yes, please. We could stop sharing that. But Stephanie, what say you?
Useless. All right.
Well, when I first heard of this story, I haven't seen the video, but I knew about it. And, at first you look at it, you're like, oh, he's just joking, but he's not pulling away or nothing. He really wants the kid to do that. And it's just creepy and weird. And then also it's like with these leaders, and I'm a big fan of them. I love their beliefs, their stories. But then when I hear things, what's going on like this, it just turns me off. Like Gandhi, for example, Gandhi, it was a big inspiration to Martin Luther King. He had really great philosophy. I was a fan of, but I wasn't a big fan of that he would like to sleep next to little girls and kids. And that's really weird. I don't know if it's a culture thing or what, but it's just, I don't know. There's not enough PR in the world that's going to fix this or have this unseen. I think this is going to just probably really turn off everybody to the whole Dalai Lama movement because it's just odd. And this guy has major power. I mean, to just go around the world and you're the holy one and you're the reincarnated Dalai Lama, and you're just... that's just odd. And then this one comment which made me laugh from Dream Ultra said, someone laughed really loud in the video, what the heck? Somebody there was also what the heck? You're in shock. So it's just disgusting. I mean, if I had a kid, I wouldn't want my kid to be touching the Dalai Lama's tongue. But that's just so gross. I mean, didn't they just know about there was COVID and flu and cold on top of that? It's just so gross.
Yeah, but why pass up an opportunity to have a child suck your tongue, right? Am I right? Am I
Well,
right,
if it was
anybody?
Biden, right? Yeah, like if you were trying to get in, an ambassadorship or some kind of office position, yeah, maybe you let your kid, spend the alone with Joe for an hour and try not to think about it too much. And I don't know. So they make these special deals or something. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. It's creepy. It needs to stop. And I didn't expect the Dalai Lama necessarily, but am I surprised? No, not at all.
And I'm just kind of trying to sift through these stories now that are linking the Dalai Lama to that NXIVM cult. I've been seeing pictures, I've been reading up on it, trying to make sense of what that is all about. But yeah, the Jocelyn pointing out that she's been suspicious about the Dalai Lama ever since he started pimping the vax. She's been suspicious. And then she remembers the Dalai Lama saying this was going to be his last life, and he was looking very gray when he said it. Is he dead? I mean, what the hell, man? More stuff, more inappropriate situations with kids. There is not I wouldn't let my kids suck the Easter Bunny's tongue or Santa Claus tongue or the Dalai Lamas or the Popes or my favorite third baseman or my favorite comedian. There's not a human on earth that I would be cool with allowing my child to suck the tongue of. That isn't a joke. That's gross. That's like Ashley Biden territory. Like, we have to be able to call out demonic shit when it happens, when we see it. I don't know what else to say about it. There's no family member that can suck your tongue. Like, nobody should be sucking tongues. Sucking tongues doesn't really even make sense. There's I would go so far as to say there's probably no scenario where it's okay to suck somebody's tongue.
Yeah.
Let alone a kid,
Yeah.
anybody under the age of 18. I'm talking like anybody anywhere. Tongue sucking is like, is that such a bold claim to be anti-tongue sucker in 2023 in this political climate? I'm against tongue sucking. This is where we're at, guys. This is where we are. I don't know what else to add to that nonsense. So let's move on to the next one. I think it creeps all of us out.
Yeah. Next topic.
Yeah,
Topic.
there's enough. We're gonna go through our lightning round, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next story is going to be about the Tennessee representative Justin Pearson. However, I got to get to this because it's a little bit of bookkeeping that I intended to get to on the last segment, but I did not have the chance to. It was kind of tying into the swimmer getting attacked, the lady swimmer, and we started discussing, well, why are they pushing this woke stuff nonstop? So here's something to consider. The Human Rights Campaign, the HRC, being backed by hedge funds. Now this is all. This is not my accusation. I'm not purporting this. I'm encountering this, and we are learning about it together. And feel free in the comments to debunk or bunk. People don't bunk enough. People spend all their time debunking. Where's the bunk? People need to be bunking more often, I think. So the HRC is backed by hedge funds such as BlackRock and Vanguard, the top shareholders of most American publicly traded corporations. Failure to advance the woke agenda would lead to these companies pulling their funds from Nike, Anheuser-Busch, and other major companies, leading to the loss of millions of dollars. HRC has received millions of dollars from George Soros, allegedly, according to the Gateway Pundit. Let's see, the woke rating. Advocacy group Human Rights Campaign introduced the 100-point Corporate Equality Index to score companies on their inclusiveness. Number 1, workforce protections. There's 5 points possible. No discrimination for employment for sexual orientation or gender identity. 2, inclusive benefits. 50 points possible. Criteria here includes providing health care for sex couples. Number 3, supporting an inclusive culture. 25 points possible, including gender-neutral dress codes and trans-inclusive restroom facilities policy. Number 4, corporate social responsibility. 20 points possible. Marketing or advertising to LGBTQ consumers, which would include Nike and Bud Light's use of transgender spokesperson Dylan Mulvaney. Number 5, responsible citizenship. Negative 25 points. Points deducted if a company gives money to organizations whose primary mission includes advocacy against LGBTQ equality, which is not defined but could include Christian groups. The second part of this, I got to switch screens here, I believe. Switching screens. Trying to switch screens. A little bit of a delay. Sharing screen. There we go. The second part of this, I don't know who this person is. Are you guys familiar with this Oil London? I don't know where they came from, but I'm seeing them all over the place like the past couple of weeks. Are you familiar, either of you?
No, never
Not
heard
before a
about.
couple of weeks, but yeah, he's all over Twitter now. He's
I don't know who it
somehow-
is. I know nothing of them. But this one is Boycott Olay. Why is Dylan Mulvaney now the face of so many major corporations all of a sudden? Let me explain. Fortune 500 companies have the CEI index, the Corporate Equality Index, which pushes companies to go woke and push trans models in order to improve their CEI score. He has the top Hollywood agency, CAA, which normally only works with A-list celebrities. So they have access to working with all the biggest brands and relationships with top executives at every major brand. So it's easy for them to get brand partnerships for their talent. The largest LGBT lobby group, Human Rights Campaign, pushes companies to use trans models in ad campaigns via the CEI index, which receives millions of dollars from Soros's Open Society Foundation. TikTok then promotes Dylan's videos heavily on the FYP page and through the algorithm, meaning brands want to work with him to get access to the TikTok market and his millions of followers and views. While being transgender has become the latest trend, gender clinics and stakeholders who profit from transitioning young people want to normalize transitioning, so they use people like Dylan as a pawn in their game and lobby companies to be more inclusive. The more we see trans people everywhere, the more likely kids will want to become like them. That was the bookend to what I meant to bring up during the last segment. Back to you two. Blake.
Yes.
Any thoughts on the CEI index and how that relates to what we're seeing nonstop every day, every single week, every month for the past couple of years, it seems?
Well, that could explain a lot of some kind of top bottom kind of elitist think tanks coming up with this money and investing in these companies. Yeah, it's kind of like a corporate blackmail of sorts. If that's what's going on, I'm not actually sure.
If that's
but,
what's going on.
But that makes sense when we think about why are all these companies going woke? Is it because they're getting tons of money from, I don't know, Vanguard or BlackRock through the World Economic Forum or the Council on Foreign Relations, these Ford Foundation, Carnegie? You go through all these, I don't know. So it's strange to see. Yeah, ultimately the cabal. It's like they're just screwing with our civilization for money and entertainment, I guess. It's sad that this is the way things are. I'm surprised that America is being broken like this. But I guess there's just so much greed out there, or it could be survival or what have you. If Nike doesn't do it, then they'll get Reebok or Adidas or something like that. I don't know exactly what goes through their heads when they come up with these ideas, but it's strange that they're using Dylan Mulvaney to push all this stuff. I saw a meme put out earlier. I think I saw it on your page too, Brian. It was Luke Radowski showing like the increase in the LGBT population, and it's all Gen Z. There's a huge spike of people that are identifying now. So it's like they're just screwing up our culture. I don't know if it might be just on purpose. I think they're just bringing us down, and it's not the America I used to know. And there's no longer a free market if this is the case. So that's very alarming.
Stephanie, what say you?
Yeah, like Blake said, it's hard to know if like this is that's the truth of what's really going on, or is that something like it's fun to say and talk about. But one thing I know for sure is that I actually dug a little bit deeper in this story with Bud Light and wanted to know who was the person who actually made this decision, and I found it. She went on interviews. She's the head PR Bud Light. And just to give you a little bit of her background, she went to Harvard University, and then after that went to Wharton Business School. So that just gives you a little taste of this person. And she said one thing that I think a lot of people don't know. She said, Bud Light as a company right now is really doing bad. She says if we continue at this growth, there's not going to be no more Bud Light. They said they have been having the worst sales they have had in years. They might not even exist as a beer company. And so she said, this is really important. And keep in mind, I'm paraphrasing what she's saying, that, the only way I thought maybe to revive or give a little bit more attention to Bud Light is to then have Dylan Mulvaney to be the face of it. And she saw that, we're talking about Harvard, Wharton Business School, and this is a trend thing. And she's probably has a little bit of a politicalness. And then when you have that agency like CAA, putting that little birdie in the ear, it's like, yeah, of course, we need to save Bud Light. And yeah, she said, Bud Light's not doing good. We're not. So we're missing out on all these other customers. So she said, we're trying to gain new customers. So when you know the truth of that, gives you a little bit of a different idea. You're not there thinking Bud Light is doing poorly.
Yeah, I believe they said it was like an aging brand, and talking about how it has frat humor, like dated frat humor, and they were losing market share. It's like, maybe try using good ingredients and get away from the GMOs. That might improve some of that.
Yeah, everybody, she said, like, the main thing what everybody's, like, drinking that's taken away from all the Bud Light is all these, like, hard seltzers, like White Claw, and every single company, I mean, even Bud Light has their own hard seltzer. So soon it's like people are probably going to get away from beer, and it's just going to be probably 80-90% market share of seltzers. I mean, me personally, I love my Heineken. I mean, beer's not going anywhere. It's been around since the Sumerians. But she did it as an act of desperation to save the brand.
Oh, it's an act of desperation. We've seen the Kid Rock response. We've seen, I'm seeing steamrollers going over entire pallets of the Bud Light. And like I said, the anecdotal reports that I'm hearing, that there are entire store owners that say, get it out, get it all out. I don't want it. You're done. People are very, like I said before, people have been pushed up against the wall here. It's like, at some point, like I said, we didn't care. Klinger and all the cross-dressing and all the stuff you feel like doing. It's like, yeah, whatever. I've worked at these clubs where they have drag night on Wednesdays, and I would actually work downstairs when they did that upstairs, and I'd work upstairs on different nights and whatever. But like, whatever, people do what you're going to do. But when you start trying to cram it down somebody's throat, like you're the Dalai Lama and versus a tongue, like it gets to be too much. It really is jumping the shark. Blake, walk us through, what are the stats we're seeing there on the screen? I know they're a little closer to you. I'm trying to pick it up, but yeah, this is the Luke Radowski segment of people who identify certain ways. And it's like, well, what have the teachers been doing this time during this time stretch to confuse and indoctrinate kids? Like what's changed in the curriculum during this time, and when did the big change start to occur? Blake, can you kind of break that graphic down a little bit for me?
Yeah, just showing the percentage of people that identify as LGBT, which is fine. It's always been kind of a small minority, 5% or maybe of the population, maybe higher, but it's certainly gotten spiked dramatically with the new generations of millennials and Gen Z, who now identify with the LGBT community. So overall, that'd be an alarming 7.2%. Which, hey, if that's all real, that's fine. It's just the way things are. It's okay. But is there a reason why so many more are today as compared to 20, 30 years ago?
And it's
So,
interesting because you'll hear the conversation will go like this. It'll say, "Well, that's how it's always been." But those evil Christians and they never say evil Muslims. They never want to complain about the evil Muslims. They really only seem to complain about evil Christians. But I believe
Well,
Muslims have a very similar thought process when it comes to this particular topic. But the conversation usually goes, well, this is the number of people that have been this way since the beginning of time, and it's always been this way. You're like, so if they're not being oppressed, then people will express themselves this way naturally, and this is just the real number. And you're like, well, maybe that is the real number, or maybe a nonstop media campaign and indoctrination strategy can change people. And when you look at the 2020 presidential election, and you look at, for example, maybe one of the more recent ones, the Wisconsin Supreme Court voting situation where they allegedly a radical was put in there on the state Supreme Court, they do the polling and they say, well, who swung the election? So if you're to believe any of the numbers that you get in elections, that's up to you, by the way. Check out CISA for countervailing views. Anyway, on that particular topic, you
well, I mean, it's easier to be open now. Before, I used to think it
is
higher
easier
than
to be
reported
open now.
because
Oh,
I used to
definitely.
think a lot of like Christian males were in the closet, and there probably is a lot of that. There's a lot in the GOP of people who won't admit it. But back then,
Lindsey Graham, Mike Pence, allegedly.
Oh, it could be tons more.
So allegedly.
Well, there was somebody like RNC or something. They say there's like tons of like gay prostitutes and whatever. I don't care. I've always been in favor
Gay
of people
Republicans
coming
for
out of
Trump.
the closet and just being real. So I've always thought the statistics were much higher than they were reported. But now everybody's comfortable with, now maybe a little too comfortable admitting it. But I mean, if that's the way you are, that's fine. But I don't know if these people are actually biologically that way or if it's something else. It's some other kind of environmental factors or something.
Well, it starts getting into it gets into where they're trying to mutilate people's bodies at this point and say, well, if you think you're this way, we should cut this off and we should slice this and invert this, and you're going to have to clean it every day and it's not going to function. Good luck. I mean, like, this is where it's gone to. This is where everybody has stopped. This isn't because Dylan Mulvaney prances around for 360 something days. And he's like, look at me, I'm on The Price is Right. Yay. Good for you. It's where it's like, and we need to push for gender affirming care to mutilate the fully perfectly functional body parts of little kids. And you're like, stop. Nope. Yeah. Hold on. That's not the societal agreement that we had here. What we had was a place where you're not going to be like that kid, Matthew Shepard, who was out in, one of the flyover states, Oklahoma or wherever that was. And he was at a bar and he was gay and he was a little too flamboyant. So a couple of good old boys took him and beat him to death and dragged him around and by the back of the pickup truck or something like that and dumped him dead in a field. Okay. I think universally nobody is saying that's great. Now in America, I mean, now if you go to Northern Africa and a lot of Muslim countries, they might have a really hardcore stance on that particular subject. But for some reason, the left doesn't rail about that every single day. I digress. But what I was saying about those last couple elections, 2020 presidential and then Wisconsin, they're saying that the demographic who is completely swinging and swaying these elections, it's the 18 to 24-year-old kids who have been coming up in this fully radicalized indoctrination camp called the United States schooling system. You cannot go into a classroom without having Marxist fists and Skittle flags all over the classrooms. It is being pushed at an earlier and earlier age. So you're getting you're seeing radical, violent acts like in Nashville, and then you're seeing really heavy political teams that are coming out to fight the good fight against the bad people. And it's just, like I said, to each their own. What do I care? I've never cared. Do your thing. But like, my thing is my thing. Stay out of telling me what can be my thing. And stop trying to trick and twist kids into permanent life-altering decisions before they're the age of 18. Anybody, when you reach legal status, you want to go into pornography, have at it. You want to slice yourself up, have at it. You want to join the military and go fight on the front lines, have at it. You want to be a police officer in this current climate, have at it. Whatever you want to do, whether I think it's a great idea or not, it doesn't fucking matter what I think. It matters what you think. You do you, boo. You do you. But when you get into the elementary schools and start twisting things that way, and you're getting kids into inappropriate situations, either with the Dalai Lama or at a strip club where alcohol is being served, and there are scantily clad people right in front, and crazy brainwashed moms are clapping like seals for some reason, we got to press pause. We got to bring some sanity back. Final thoughts on this, Stephanie?
Yeah, I was just about to say, it's like, yeah, just have at it. You do you, boo. You do you, boo. You know, but it's like when I went to elementary school and high school, and being a woman, you would get suspension if your shorts were too short, or even if you're wearing spaghetti straps. And that was really annoying in Arizona because it's so hot, and so you want to wear spaghetti straps. So at that time, and I think it still is, it's like a week suspension, you know, just a female wearing spaghetti straps at my school. But you're able to have these like drag queens that are wearing these super, I mean, you could see everything. They're showing their whole bodies, and that's okay. But like me as a woman, I'm being penalized wearing spaghetti straps, but we're allowed to have these like strippers dancing in front of 5-year-old kids, you know, and fish stockings. I just don't get it.
Same here. Final word, Blake?
No, yeah, I don't get it either. I would like some sanity and some common sense back, and for people to, you know, embrace who they really are with their authentic self. I just feel like some of this stuff is just shoved in their face and it's artificial. And I don't like seeing kids being messed with or altered before they're old enough to make a proper decision.
All right. Moving on. We got a rapid fire round, a couple more topics, and we're going to wrap up today's show. Allegedly. I clicked the button.
Maybe.
I'll click it another time. Second time's the charm.
All right.
Eventually got that. God, there's so many good stories here. All right, Blake, quickly, agree or disagree? How long do we have you for today, by the way?
I have about 7-8 minutes left.
All right, then let's do the thing where we go through Blake giving his takes. Blake's takes. We're in the Blake's takes segment of the show where we run out of time. And look, we were pretty focused today. We added a story or two, but like we stayed on topic, but there's a lot to say about it. We didn't like waste too much time getting into the trivialities of how was your weekend? Oh, my weekend was great. What, you know, my dog did that. Like, it doesn't matter. We got to the news today and we just stayed on it, which is pretty cool. So anyway, Blake, agree or disagree? The evolution of the Tennessee representative, Justin Pearson, seems to be natural. Do you agree or disagree with this?
I'm going to say disagree. And there's another one of these stories I didn't know anything about until a couple of hours ago, Brian, when you sent it to me on Instagram, the before and after Justin Pearson. I guess he's one of the representatives in Tennessee who was...
Do you have the video clip, by the way?
No, that's on you, man. That was on your I just found that on Telegram from your Instagram. But it shows basically two, you would think they're two totally different people. It's like he went from this, you know, nice, soft-spoken guy to, you know, an excitable person, and all of a sudden he's like to see the before and after on that. And I don't know that much about him, and I don't even have that strong of an opinion on whether he should be kicked out or not, based on what he did and his actions. There's 2 guys kicked out, 1 brought back. I'm not sure which is which. But yeah, interesting to see that. He's like a creature of the Democratic establishment. And so they love the more radicalized version. You know, they're interesting both, but I'd have to see the policy. But it seems like he's putting on an act.
Yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can play this here, the before and after.
Okay. Can't hear it.
Oh, you can't hear this?
Nope.
Oh, doggone it. Then doggone it. It's right here. Why isn't it? All right. Anyway, look it up. This Justin Pearson. By the way, this should be the #1 story in America. This is a violent insurrection in Tennessee, and they were removed, and one was brought back. Anyway, check it out. Yeah, it's an interesting. It reminds me of Hillary talking about bringing her hot sauce. It reminds me of Biden saying, "If you don't vote for me, Jack, you ain't black." You know, it's just these I don't know. Like it's really playing a character for these people. Doggone it. That was such an
You
interesting
just roll
clip.
the video again, or just to see what he looks like. But he looks different. He talks different.
Oh, it's the Colin Kaepernick effect. Absolutely.
Mhm.
He's gone full Colin Kaepernick. Never go full Colin Kaepernick. Never.
Well, I mean,
Don't
Malcolm
do
X
it. Okay.
is one thing, and he was, but I don't know. You got to try to get your message across in a certain way. But I mean, how much of it is just putting on an act to appease, the radical activists on your side who are trying to influence who you are and change some of your views, much like the corporations are messing with Nike, or much how George Soros money influences. Like, hey, here's $1 million for your campaign, but now I want you to take these positions on the issues. So I don't know who is the real Justin Pearson. And
I've heard it.
First one.
I've heard it said that politicians are where ugly actors go. They're all actors.
Hollywood for
everybody on the main stage, they're all actors.
Mhm.
It's just the ugly ones end up in politics. You've had a few crossovers that aren't so bad on the eyes, but
Yeah, like
I think it was
Reagan.
Bill Maher that had a bit on that. Yeah, Reagan.
He was a big
He
actor.
had some other. He was. Been some decent looking people these days, but yeah, usually the ugly ones end up in politics. Well, you talked about Soros. Soros has been on everybody's minds for a while. Blake, agree or disagree that Alex Soros is a greater threat than his father, George Soros?
Yeah, it seems to be. He's very ambitious like his father, but he's out running around. He's been at the White House a number of times, and he's doing, seems like, the family's day-to-day activities. So it's kind of like he's the Darth Vader, and Soros is Emperor Palpatine. He's behind the scenes. He's kind of directing things. But as soon as Soros, if he ever dies, I don't know, it's like a strong force of evil that still resides there, animating his body. But once he's done and he inherits all that money, then kind of look out. So Alex Soros. So that's a name to look out for. So legacy doesn't die with George and all the money. So watch out for Alex once he gets that infusion of fresh cash. It's all going to be in that charity that they run, and who knows how many more prosecutors and bad people are going to get signed up to their cause, all for the love of money.
So many topics, such little time. Another topic, agree or disagree, Blake? Biden White House orchestrated the FBI raid on Trump. This was the lead. This should have been the #1 story, but they got us today. We got us yipping and yapping about side distractions all day, all episode. We give a little bit of attention to this. This should be the bombshell smoking gun story. Do you agree or disagree that the Biden White House orchestrated the FBI raid on Trump?
I am going to agree. If you would have asked me that yesterday, I would have said, probably. It wouldn't surprise me, but now it seems to be official. So there's actually documents obtained by America First Legal Foundation suggest the Biden White House involved in the FBI raid on Trump's home was by way of special access request. And so it's new records obtained through this further confirm the FBI obtained access to the records through a special access request from the Biden White House on behalf of the Department of Justice. So with the National Archives and Records Administration. So they knew it, they dug it up, and then they pretended like, oh, I didn't know anything about it. So they orchestrated the whole thing. And it was interesting how they kind of turned the tables, and then all of a sudden started finding all kinds of Biden classified documents in his garage. So turnabout is fair play. But I mean, they actually did a raid on Mar-a-Lago. That was insane. But it was all cooked up, it looks like, in the White House.
Absolutely. Next topic. 2 more to go. Matt Taibbi and Elon Musk. Can their feud be repaired? Should it be repaired, Blake? Agree or disagree that Taibbi and Musk should repair their partnership, their friendship?
Yeah, it should. I thought this was strange that it went off the rails like this. Now, I don't know all the stuff going on behind the scenes, but it seemed like they had a pretty good working relationship of sorts. with Matt Taibbi getting these leaks to the Twitter files and reporting on them. And all of a sudden they were feuding. I know Elon Musk, Twitter, they have some other feud with Substack, and seems like there was some confusion and things got out of hand a little bit. And Elon Musk shared some of the private texts, which weren't real damning or anything. So I hope but I mean, yeah, it's tensions are high right now.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And with those leaks,
Taiwan and China, Elon Musk and Taibbi, tensions are high everywhere. Final topic, Blake, and your way out the door.
Well,
Agree or disagree that we should restrict pronoun using Trump-hating leftists from owning firearms?
Perhaps.
Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the leftists are always the one that
Perhaps.
want to take guns away, so maybe just let them volunteer. And it seems like most of the people that are committing these shootings are who usually hate guns to begin with. So I don't know. I haven't gotten into all the details of this Louisville shooter. Apparently, it's not trans, but they did have pronouns on their LinkedIn profile. But it was like a raging leftist lunatic who's, fueled by and radicalized by this awful propaganda and hates Trump. And went and shot up a bank. The history of concussions that surely played a role as well. But it seems like it's mostly the mental illness of America hating leftists than it is the actual firearms. So yeah, there's another one.
So interesting.
Yep.
So interesting that like use of pronouns is like a giant. I mean, it's the most giant, bold, vivid neon red flag of red flags. It's like if you're just trying to like if you want to like identify, pin the tail on the NPC, it's like here I am. Just waving on a desert island. It's me. And you're like, I don't know anything about you, but okay, now I know one thing about you. And if that suggests these 100 things, that's quite the character profile for you there.
Right.
Okay, Blake, any final thoughts on all these stories?
That's it.
Any final words?
Thank everybody. Thanks, Streamer Ultra and Dr. Jekyll and Jocelyn and Katie Cat and Vishnave and anybody I missed. You guys are awesome. Thanks
Brian and Stephanie.
And Brian and Stephanie, my fellow
compatriots,
panel members.
comrades.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody, and we'll catch it tomorrow. We're not doing Thursday, right?
Let's do tomorrow. Are you guys good for tomorrow? I can do 3 p.m. Eastern sharp tomorrow. I can. Blake, you can.
Yeah, I could do tomorrow.
Okay, 3 p.m. Same bat channel, same bat.
Yeah,
what's that? Same bat station.
Same bat channel.
Same bat time. Same bat channel. Yes, that's the one.
All right.
To be
Thanks,
continued.
everybody. Take
Bye,
care.
Blake.
All right.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Okay.
Blake's takes, everybody.
Yes.
Blake's takes.
Yeah.
We've wanted to do that segment for a while, the Blake's takes.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of turns out that we talk, and we're like, all right, we're on track. We're doing good. We're staying focused. Okay. And then we glance up, we're like, oh shit, it's 4:40. Oh my God, Blake's got to go because he's always got to run out at the same exact time. So we want the Blake's takes, but yeah, it's nice where it's Blake. You get 3 sentences, go, and it's like wrap it up. So it's been kind of fun. I don't know, were there any of those topics you felt like expanding upon, Stephanie? I know this is where we normally go back through some comments and maybe pin some things on there that look interesting. Or
I just want to say one thing about Alex Soros. He actually is. He is running things for his father, been in charge of this. Actually has been happening probably for like the past 10, 15 years, to be honest. He like George Soros, like he knows he's been indoctrinating. I mean, he's been basically since he was a baby to live out the George Soros dream in the world. So every time there's something going on in the White House, the president, Alex Soros is the main person. Elon Musk even said that in a tweet. He says Alex Soros basically is like the main guy who's running everything. And also another fun fact is that Meghan Markle, before I think 2 boyfriends before she got with Prince Harry, she actually dated Alex Soros. So there's actually there's pictures of Meghan Markle and Alex Soros on like some, I think some island in the
Ooh,
Caribbean
boy.
at some
Oh
like
boy.
extravagant
Mm.
like avant-garde like
Oh
party thing,
boy.
and it gave me like a lot of like eyes
Epstein Island vibes.
well, eyes wide shut vibes, you know, same thing, but it was yes. And Alex Soros, I mean, he's just, yeah, he's just living the dream. I mean, multi billionaire, has all the money in the world, and but the biggest thing is, I believe, is they want chaos. You know, they want chaos in the world. They don't just fund one side of the liberals, they also fund the other side of the liberals, that they're fighting each other because he wants the same sides and everybody to always be fighting. So Alex Soros, I mean, it's already done. I mean, he has the full control, and it has been like that for the past 15 years, probably even longer than that,
Yeah.
20 years.
Yeah, and I guess that's all probably likely. I know one of the big topics, and it's a good topic, I suppose. Um, you're hearing more and more people start to question openly, and it's nice that the name George Soros is front page news because of all of these district attorneys that are just destroying America. And by the way, vote in our Twitter poll. We're at American_media_ at American_media_. Vote in one of our two new polls. One says which political party is most responsible for the awful political the awful policies in America. And so it was Republicans, Democrats, or Libertarians. It's an interesting poll. It's interesting already, but it's up for 6 more days, so go vote there. And then the other one, what was the other poll I had? I think it's about where most of America's problems are stemming from weirdos indoctrinating us. And I just kind of left it vague on that. So vote in those two polls. Yeah, but the Alex Soros thing, it's the question that's kind of come out with Elon Musk and Scott Adams, and you're hearing almost any pundit is now just kind of talking about it, saying, well, why? You know, and I've got to this question a couple times in this show already. Why? All right, cool. So there's a story. We're hearing it. We're reading it. We think we understand it. We're repeating it. But like, why? Do we really understand the why? You know, and there's a couple of theories, and you know, I've been speaking out about demons and demonic forces for a long time. It's a tale as old as time. I mean, the people could just be evil, and if you got an old evil dude, could his offspring also be evil? Well, yeah, I guess you probably might inherit that evil gene. So that's one theory. Like, he's the man that broke the Bank of England. Like, he shorts things. He buys positions in stocks so that if something fails, he wins. You know, and there's theories out there that this should be completely illegal because you're especially when you are actively engaged in rigging the game. It's one thing to put $100 on the Super Bowl. It's another thing to pay off the referees to screw it all up. And that's exactly what's happening here with the district attorneys. That's a huge difference. So, you know, the question of why, you know, is it just because he's evil? Is it just because he's dumb? Is it just because he hates this country? Is it just because he's pushing the NWO plot and you got to take America down a few pegs before anything can, you know, we're the last line of defense against craziness from the New World Order perspective. And this really is the third Obama term. We're seeing the very bold actions meant to, you know, I don't know, say allow Chinese spy balloons that could deploy nuclear payloads up there, you know, just float across our country, soaking up all the sensitive data and figuring out where they can detonate a nuclear blast to shut down our power grid and leave us back in the Stone Ages. Well, guess what? That's happening at a time where we're being invaded on the southern border by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. Maybe some of them are not great people. Maybe some of them, well, you get the point and the story there. Maybe this is to really bring us down on the world stage. Maybe it's to make sure that we are so fully backing those good people in Ukraine. Like, I don't know, aren't there Nazis there in the Azov battalion that's literally getting funded by Biden at a time where we need the money to repair the infrastructure in this country, where you have trains going off the tracks in East Palestine, Ohio? You have chemical plant explosions all over the place. You have real problems, homelessness, drug addiction, while fentanyl is flooding across the southern border. We allegedly take down the Epstein ring. And guess what? The human trafficking being smuggled up through the southern border is through the roof. Literally nothing is making any sense. And so in this third Barack Obama term, being puppeted by Biden, being puppeted by Soros, being puppeted by the other Soros, being puppeted, but, go down the list. Wouldn't it be awesome to be involved in this World War III conflict at a time where we sent all of our artillery and ammunition over to Ukraine and we are defenseless for when out and don't come back on? And all of a sudden, we're going to have to defend our homeland against the southern invasion, the power grid invasion, and we will be overthrown and toppled. There are people out there that want this to happen. There are people out there that hate America, that hate this country. They don't like how it was founded. They don't like what we stand for. They don't like how uppity we are with, they're going to say whatever they want. You can't say whatever you want when you're in a despotic situation with dictators and tyrants. Well, guess what? We talk shit here in America. That's what our First Amendment gives us the right to do. We have the freedom of religion. Yeah, we'll do our thing. Don't stay away from us pushing your religion on us. And that's what the Skittles Mafia has been doing. Do your thing. You do you. But stop pushing your agenda on us. Leave us alone with it. You don't like being people trying to come and convert you. So leave the rest of the people alone. There's not a two-way street here, but it is a situation where we're facing a lot of things converging at the same exact time. And so why is George Soros up to what he's up to? Is it just for power and control? Is it just demonic energy? I don't know. But if you look at the actions of District Attorney Alvin Bragg, if you look at what's going on across this country in places like Austin, people getting, put on trial and even convicted for defending yourselves while the entire country burns, while the Kamala Harris and Maxine Waters and Nancy Pelosi are cheerleading the destruction of American cities. More than 20 people murdered across the country during those 2020 Joe Biden blue Democrat state riots that happened just in order to get Trump out of office. The people are showing their true colors these days. And I'm at least happy that they're showing who they are. Now that we know the name Alex Soros, we're going to have to figure out what he's all about, what makes him tick. Is it just to be a character in an Austin Powers movie, to be a bad guy, to be Dr. Evil? Or is it just for the money? Are they just shorting all the positions and they're going to be here to pick up everything when the U.S. dollar collapses? Because our dollar's been taken off of not only the gold standard in the 70s, but now we're not even the main petroleum reserve trading currency. We've somehow found a way to put Russia and China together as allies, and then to pull, what was it? The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China. And then you also have added, who did they just add? They added Iran, and they added somebody. I mean, everything is on the verge of popping right now. The dollar is more fragile than it's ever been. Taiwan's about to get invaded allegedly by China. We totally screwed the pooch in Afghanistan and left our people behind, and we left our military gear behind. We're letting our country get completely flooded with people that have not been vetted or checked, but we have to take off our shoes and you got to touch our junk and genitals when we're trying to just hop on an airline. Like, everything is upside down. Everything is upside down. The most basic things aren't being handled, and the most frivolous, bizarre fixations seem to become the only thing that we're allowed to talk about. And that's welcome to 2023 for you. May we live in interesting times, Stephanie.
Indeed. Very well said, Brian.
All right. Any other topics here other than Alex Soros from all of the stuff that we've covered today? Any comments we want to get to? Anybody saying interesting stuff you want to highlight? This is your domain and your realm, the comments section. I have been uncharacteristically inattentive to the comments section today. I apologize, but I've been trying to steer the show mainly as opposed to taking us on side paths.
Yeah. I just want to thank everybody who's been here. I know MJ Sedona, Jocelyn just left, Dr. Jerkel, let's see, Dream Ultra, my Uncle Wa, Vishnava. Am I saying that correctly? Vishnava? And then Marcos Toledo and everybody, Trish Bird, everybody, thank you for being here. And if you're watching and you haven't done it yet, make sure to like and subscribe and to check Next Level News. That's like Wally's thing. And also New America Media, which you can find it on YouTube. And it's also on Rumble. And don't forget to subscribe to the Agree and Disagree show on Spotify. If you're in your car, you can't be on YouTube, or if you want to catch up with us, it's always a fun thing to listen to us when you're in the car or just doing some fun, just things around the house. Feel free to check us out on Spotify.
Heck yeah. And Dr. Jekyll he's saying Jerkle? Did you say Jerkle? I'm not
Yeah,
Jekyll.
Yeah, Dr. Yeah, sorry, I didn't say correct.
No, you will now, henceforth, you are now Dr. Jerkle. I will be Mr. Hyde.
Sorry,
Dr.
my bad.
Jerkle.
My bad. But you know what I meant. Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Jekyll adds, France is contemplating joining the BRICS as well. So, yeah, I mean, in the absence of United States leadership, there's no adult in the room. Look at what's falling apart. Pretty much everything everywhere. Kudos.
Okay.
And she says,
Vishnavi.
Navi or Nave? Nave.
Nav-
Vishnave.
Nave?
Nave.
Vishnave. I think it's Vishnave.
That's if Justin Trudeau said it, he'd go Vishnav, eh?
Yeah.
That's how he would do it. Okay, that's all I got. Thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you
we're gonna
so
be
much.
back with a special show tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern. Leave your comments, do all those awesome things, and we will talk with you again soon.
All right, bye everybody. Take care. Bye.